feels like so long ago that I was a part of the Ultimate Fighter, and I'm really trying to transition from an Ultimate Fighter guy to a UFC guy. But it was one of the best times of my life, and it probably will be for a very long time. It changed my life, definitely. I got to meet some amazing people, from the likes of Mike Tyson, to obviously, at the time, Chael, Mike Dolce, John Jones, all these people that are big names in the sport that I do and I love, and I got to meet Randy Couture and all these guys. So, and also train with 6 other formidable, fantastic middleweights. And the season Tough 17 has been named the most talented season ever of the Ultimate Fighter. And if you look at the guys that made it to the UFC, I think there's 8 of us. 8 of the guys that made it to the UFC from that show. Most of us have all got winning records. I'm undefeated still from the UFC. Clint Hester's undefeated from the UFC. There's a lot of guys that came off that season that are very, very talented and doing very well in the UFC. So it shows you the caliber of that show. If you look back in history and look at how the company's developed, the Ultimate Fighter is really what got people engaged in the UFC and what made it big. And I was blessed to be a part of it and have probably the best coach that's ever graced the Ultimate Fighter stage, as Chael Sonnen. Fantastic personality, not just in MMA but in sport in general. So I was very, very lucky to be a part of that show. I wanted Chael to be my coach, and I've been a big fan of his for a long time. So getting to know the guy and be a part of one of his training camps and just have him guide me through the show and the experience and everything was fantastic. And he's an inspiring dude. He's done a lot for the sport. He's done a lot for MMA, and he's fought for a world title 3 times. It's never gone his way, but he's been there. He's been at the top. That's the top level. That's where everyone wants to be. When I started mixed martial arts, I started MMA. I've always trained at the Tsunami Gym, and my first ever session there, the 2 the big guns, if you want to call them, the big guys in the gym, the names, the guys, they weren't like highest ranked guys in the gym, but they were the mouthy guys, the guys people took note of and made a lot of noise. With the Maguire brothers, who John Maguire made it to the UFC as a welterweight and a lightweight and competed. He had 5-6 fights there, and then Tommy fights on the domestic scene. Both very talented, very, very good guys, but they come from a gypsy background, so they're both gypsies. So they're very mouthy, very loud, very have a lot of, as us English guys say, banter. They've got a lot of banter, and I was quite shy when I first come to the gym. I was going to a mixed martial arts gym for my first ever time. I was pretty quiet. I've got quite a vibrant personality, but I hid it quite a lot to start with. And these 2 guys, Tommy and John, were standing over side of me, saying, basically insulting me. Look at this Gorger, come here, and they talk very, very quickly. And I didn't have a clue what they were saying, so I was like, what are you on about? And then Tommy said, look at him, he's big and he's slow. He's the BigSlow. And it was like the first day they took the mick at me, calling me the BigSlow, and it's stuck ever since. Family are supportive and it's a weird situation. My mother, she's a Jehovah's Witness, so she went through something very difficult, like becoming a Jehovah's Witness and having to tell your family and her family that she was a Jehovah's Witness, and missing out on Christmas and all these sort of things that my mum had to do. You have to be very strong to do those things, to not bow to peer pressure. So because my mum's a bit different with her religious beliefs, she supported the fact that I wanted to follow my dream of fighting the UFC. She supported me that I wanted to be different, that I wanted to do different things. But she doesn't like mixed martial arts. She doesn't like the aspects to it. She doesn't like it's a fighting sport. She understands that I'm an athlete in this competition, but she just doesn't like any form of violence, being a Jehovah's Witness, so she struggles with it very, very heavily. My dad was he was supportive as well, in a way, but he never really talks about MMA. He doesn't come to my fights and support me that way, but he still supports me. He just wants to know I'm okay. Whereas my brothers will be in the fight. I've got 2 brothers, and they love it. They come to all my fights. And then my auntie, now my mum's sister, she's become like my #1 fan. She like watches all my interviews. She's always watching research about MMA. She knows what's going on, and she bought a ticket. And at the O2 for the first time, my auntie comes and watches me fight live with my cousins who have come to pretty much all my fights. So I've got my family support me quite a lot. But I left home when I was 17 and moved away. I moved away from Chelmsford up to Cambridgeshire, so about 2 hours away, and lived my life. And I've always been a very solitary person, like solo, but on my own. I've not really needed much support in my life. I think because I had a good base as a child. Obviously, a big part of fighting, they call it the fight before the fight, or whatever you want to say it, is making weight. You know, I'm a big dude. I'm a big middleweight. I walk around at about 100 kilos, like 220 pounds, 222 pounds. I'm a big guy, especially once I'm out of camp and I'm eating the food that I really enjoy. But weight cut starts the way, I work very extensively with Mike Dolce, and it starts, we say 52 weeks before an event. That's when you start thinking about your weight cut. If you start thinking about it 6 weeks before, it's too late. You have to live the lifestyle all year round. So you have to be a professional athlete your whole life. Weight cutting is a horrible part of the sport, especially for me. The week of the fight, the weight cut is tough. I have to do something called water loading, where I have to drink 2 gallons or 8 litres of water every single day, and I go up to 12 litres of water as well. So, drink a lot of water to flush your system, and then on the actual Thursday, when I stop drinking any water, I have breakfast. It's the last meal I eat, and I don't eat again till Friday at about 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm quite a heavy weight cutter, but it gives me the advantage of size, power, and obviously being big in the octagon, it can pay a big dividend. So, but weight cutting is it's a very big topic, and it's one of the things a lot of people are good at cutting weight, but it's the rehydration that matters. Everyone thinks the weight cut's over once you step on the scales. The weight cut's not over till you've performed in the octagon, you've finished your fight, then you can have a treat or whatever. It's business up until that point. And people rehydrate too quickly. There's a lot of tricks to making weight, and working with Dolce, I learned a lot. And I've cut weight with him a lot of times now, and I follow a path, and I do the Dolce diet extensively. I'm an ambassador for it over here in Europe, and I believe it's the only way to live if you're going to fight in the UFC. I'm the new age, I'm the guy who did nothing. I came from no background. No martial arts background, did MMA, and now I'm fighting in the UFC in about 2 years. So it's very rapid for me, and I just feel, like I have a lot to offer to the sport, and especially to the sport over here in Europe, where it's just starting to grow.
Everybody has like an ultimate goal. They want to achieve something and do something with their lives, and being a part of the UFC and competing at the highest level is already a great achievement. There's a lot more that I want to do. My ultimate goal, a lot of people, you think they want to be world champion, they want to win the UFC title. Of course I want to do that, but there's a lot more I want to do. I want to spread the word of mixed martial arts. I want people to know what the UFC is. I want to walk down the street in the streets of England, in London, and people know what the UFC is about. And I want to share the word. I want people in England to know what the UFC is. So I want to be the face of UK MMA. I want to push it further than it's been before, and I want people to really see the sport that I love as, up there with the Olympics and all of these great events that you think about. And I don't want people to, right now the mindset about mixed martial arts is not as high as it should be, and I really, really want to change the perception of the world, especially here in England, and let people know what great athletes the sport has.
Can he finish it with the shots? He looks hurt. This could be the end of the fight.
Well, he dispatched the dangerous Andrew Craig, and now he adds elite grappler Mats Nilsson to his curriculum vitae. That work was just beautiful.
It was, and that's a big scalp for his record.